Podcast.
Hello, David. Can you see us?
Yeah, I can see you, Graham. Yeah.
Good. And is that just water in your glass?
Yes. I always remember the Ricky Fulton sketch. Do you remember?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Lovely
Lovely
water.
water, this.
Some more of that water. No, lovely to have you. Good. I hope it's as good fun for you as it is for us. So thank you for giving up some time.
Great, Reggie. Yeah.
Fantastic to have you on. So this is obviously for us episode 3 of Vinyl Cast. I think a good excuse for us to dive into, I suppose, the grassroots of the Glasgow music scene and especially live music scene at grassroots level. Obviously, I think I know a bit about you. Graham knows you well. Thompson, that is, and described by some as one of the founding fathers of the live music scene in Glasgow and West Coast of Scotland. So it's a bloody privilege to have you on. Musical journey started at an early age, so looking at from 7 years old to 70, which is remarkable. Married to Joyce, a former teacher. You did it in Newton Mearns originally and retired to Troon. Doing the Matter in 2006. And worked as in your professional life as a regional business manager in prescription-only pharmaceuticals, which I was delighted to hear. Sometimes musicians in Scotland are well known for recreational drugs, so that was reassuring. Which obviously you spent a lot of time around Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, so you obviously know the country pretty well. I think one of the other things which is some people know a bit about with the Charlie Taylor Foundation, which I see you're beautifully demonstrating the T-shirt tonight. We'll come on to that in a little bit. So, I mean, going back, like you started this in the 70s and 60s, and we'll cover that in a little bit. So lovely to have you on. I mean, for me, quick question just to start us off. How did music start for you, David, and why especially live music? How did you get into that?
From a very, very early age, I loved it. And at that time, my uncle played boogie-woogie piano and my father played drums. And they performed at the Bay Hotel in Gook. And I used to sit mesmerised in this piano. And I guess that's how it all started. And I then went to help a friend's father, who's the caretaker of Maxwell Park Borough Hall. And I got to stand on the stage and sing and perform. And so when I was 4, I decided to get into variety and joined Sadie Simpson's School of Dance. And I was the only boy, and I hated it. I love it now. But actually, I really hated it. And what I didn't realise was that I had to do ballet. I wanted to do tap. I wanted to do ballet. Had to do ballet to strengthen the ankle muscles, etc. So, cut a long story short, I didn't stick it very long because I was the only boy. When I was 7, I started taking piano lessons and from Helen Hood. And at 9, I took up drums with a BB. In fact, took up the chanter first. Was absolutely hopeless at it, and just swap over to drums, and that's what I did, and that's how it all started, I guess. And I took part in variety shows, the Junior Black White Whistles, various variety shows. Silly thing, I loved it, absolutely loved it. And when I was 13, I thought, no, in fact, before I was 13, I was still in Glasgow then. I thought, right, I've got to form a band. So about 10, 11, and formed a band with a guy called Jim Bunyan, who's a keyboard player still around on the music scene, and a guitar player called Dante Siki, who at that time, at 8 years old, was just an excellent guitar player. And we mucked about, and it really was mucking about. And I didn't really start with the first band until I was about 13. They were all 15, so there's a huge age gap, as you can imagine. And I got the sack. And they took on, because I was too young. And they took on a guy called Blair Beck, who played with the Spirits and laughed with the Poets, one of the Poets' reformations. And that was that. So I formed my own band. with some friends at school, and we started to play usual. Started to play, no money at all, and then worked our way up until eventually we paid expenses. And as someone drives around, and Jim Simon of STV said to me recently, he said, I heard a story that when you were young, your roadie would hear a Lambretta scooter, and he would take you to the gigs in the scooter. And I thought, yeah, I've forgotten that.
Would be a bit challenging with a drum kit in your back.
Yes. Yeah, well, the drum kit went in the van. The rest of it. Yeah, and that's how it started, really. So,
Can I ask you that? I noticed in some of your photographs you had this big afro.
yes.
I always thought it was just so hip to have an afro back in the day. I think in your case it wasn't a perm. I think in your case it was possibly the real thing. Is that right?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And in first year at school, when my school in terms was Hamish Stewart. I think everyone knows Hamish. And of course, Hamish is the same kind of hair as me.
Exactly.
Yeah, and in those days, quite interesting. Hamish wanted a footballer to play for Queen's Park, and that was Hamish's ambition then, before the days of calling the key men and Dream Police, etc. And so we had the same hair. And unknown to me, I'd grown mine, and Hamish had grown his. And it wasn't until we met up at Dublin, I think it was Labamba in Falkirk, we were playing a doubler together, that we realised we had the same hair. Yeah. And it was completely natural too. Yeah.
The best time for stardom with hair like that, David. No question about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, completely mad drummer in those days, Graham. Completely off the wall, as drummers were.
Did you style yourself on Keith Moon at all, or did you style your style, your drumming style, on anybody in particular at that time?
My father influenced me a lot. So there was a lot of trad jazz, Buddy Rich, Louis Bitten, and a lot of those old-fashioned drummers.
Yeah.
And I moved on to like 60s beat, and then, as Graham will say, I was around at Graham's, no, it's Hugh's house, and Graham wanted to do Crossroads by Cream. And we ended up with the first 4 to 8 bars, and somebody said, you're playing the wrong timing. I said, no, have a listen to the record. It's played back to front. You listen to When Ginger Baker Rests There. Excuse me, it's the first beat of the bar, the third. And it sounds like it was going, and sure enough. So in that style, I thought Ginger Baker was just fantastic. And of course, Keith Moon was my idol in way back in 66 to about 65. Of course, I got the big drum kit as well at that point.
I remember you going back to Hugh's house and practicing at the very start of Dr. Cook and the Boners, and I forgot to tell you that Richie played with Dr. Cook and the Boners for many a year.
Right.
And Dr. Cook and the Boners was one of these bands where there were so many stand-ins. I think as the years went by, we must have had about 40. So although Richie was a sort of firm member in the early days, as the years went by, he would stand in here and there, playing guitar and singing, depending on what Big Cookie was up to. But good days and a good laugh.
Oh, it's great fun. Absolutely great fun. I loved it. And I remember that time having to say to yourself and you that I had to go and leave the band because I was up and down. At that time, I was up and down to London every single week, if you remember back, Graham. And there was 1 week I went down the Monday, flew back on Tuesday, back down on Thursday, back up Friday. And it was just impossible to fit everything in. I loved it. I loved it, my time with you and you. It was great fun.
I'm lucky enough to say I'm one of the founding members of the Boners, and actually I was 17 at the time, and I do remember all of these rehearsals. We probably did cross paths in the very early days, and interestingly, I haven't played probably a great number of years, local residency at the Clutha on a Sunday night. Eventually, similar to you, I followed my heart and my now wife down to London at the time. So and came back. But ironically, now I commute on a regular basis north and south, which in its current environment is fairly challenging, obviously, as you can imagine. So I come to you from the south coast of England this week. So it's great. Some of the old memories. Graham and I have spoken at length about trying to get hold of Hugh and Cookie and some others and try and get them on to recount some of the old Bonus stories. Some of it will be fairly animated, but it would be a hell of a laugh to remember.
Yes.
CTF, as you proudly are sporting this evening, Charlie Taylor Foundation. So I think I'd be right in saying you started in the 60s and 70s. You probably met early days in the Scotia, and then it would expand and probably move to the Clutha, and then obviously it kept going and going. And through that time, you would have met people, obviously like Jim Keel and other big influences in the Glasgow music scene, along with also Ian Forbes and others like that. So some people know about the Charlie Taylor Foundation, and I feel that there's an awful lot of people that don't know and should know. Give us a bit of overview of what that stands for and how it came about.
Yeah, well, I used to meet with Charlie Taylor. Charlie's my keyboard player and musical director back in the years of Benji. We're just such good friends. And in town here every other week, we go to the studio and record and muck about and have a drink. And sometimes the recording we find something complete rubbish, mostly rubbish. But and I meet with him and Tommy Gordon from high school, Charlie Sands from On the Spot, and for lunch once a month. And we'd meet up. And Charlie said one day, he said, I wonder where all the old guys are. Where are these bands? Where's Clusey? You know, where's George Gallagher? And Tommy's one was football with George Gallagher. And I thought, and Charlie said, wouldn't it be great if we could all meet up and see what each other look like, and now sit down together and chew the fat. And I thought, and I thought, yeah, it'd be great. And that was fine. And I did nothing about it. And 4 years ago, on April the 5th, Charlie passed away. And which was quite devastating. Suddenly he was in for, eventually he was in for dialysis 3 days a week, or 3 times a week. And when he was in a heart attack and died. And I thought, God. And I thought about it, and it affected me quite a bit. And I thought, you know, I know he would have loved, but I did nothing about it. So I thought, right, I'm going to do something about it. And I decided to set up this group called Chewing the Fat as a Charlie Taylor Foundation. And that's where it all started. Invited a few people. I knew my keyboard player in Gold, his brother was guitar player with Anthem, who were sort of rock band back in the day. John Williams, Frankie Murray, late Frankie Murray, Robert John Lindsay, Mark Leask. And so I got in touch with them, and John thought, great idea. So he came along. And Jim Collins from Records said, right, I fancy that, I'll come on. So we got together, and great. I thought, right, let's take this forward. So put the thing together. And I invited Blair Beck and George Simpson, keyboard player, who's still CTF house band keyboard player, along to his cafe in East Kilbride. And we met, and it was fine. And then Ronnie Horn, my old keyboard player, joined us. And then we thought, right, why don't we try Glasgow? So the meeting at Esquire House, and we're joined by Graham, Hugh, Frankie Murray, Jimmy Campbell, Jimmy Oakley. There was 14 of us. And I thought, right, I mean, I thought, it would be great for guitars, even acoustic guitars, and pass a guitar and sing a song each. So that was the idea. And Frankie Murray suggested, why don't we try in Scotia and go into the side room of it. I thought, great idea. So we moved to Scotia, and we all invited people we knew to join us. And we were shocked because the place was really busy. The second time in Scotia, they brought in electroacoustic guitars and sung and played. But this time, we were overflowing. And oddly enough, Cookie was at the bar and I said, when you're coming through, he said, no, I'm driving. And he was sitting on orange juice and just listening. Right, honest. And that was it. So we reached the stage where, sadly, the Scotia had offered us free food, snacks and things. But we've reached the stage where we just outgrown the place. So we thought, okay, so we approached the Clutha, and they welcomed us with open arms. And it grew and grew and grew until you couldn't get to the toilet. I mean, you just could not get through the crowds to the Clutha. I'm trying to think who it was. Somebody said to me, would you consider avant-garde? And I thought, right, I'll go and meet with Billy. Then spoke to Billy. He said, fine, I'm having 10% off the bar CTF card, 10% discount. Anytime the CTF member comes in, 10% off, and we'll give you free food. I thought, great. So we moved there, and wonderful, absolutely happy as Larry there. And Billy was fantastic, busy. Even got a special Christmas dinner for us all, New Year's dinner for us, rocked the place. And once again, sadly what happened here, people upstairs, the tenants, complained of the noise level. And we tried to control it. And eventually Billy had to get a sound limiter in. And that was it. And the day when Tommy Gordon was up singing, all the gear cut out on the stage, apart from the drums, of course. But the audience were singing, and it was the audience who was tripping the limiter. And of course, people were gigging that night, and were terrified for their amps. This surge in power and whatnot. And so I thought, what am I going to do here? And a guy who had been at me for months had said to me, will you speak to Bad now? And I said, sure. And he said, right, I'll nip along and I'll speak to him now. And within 15 minutes, Brian had phoned me from Bad. He said, yeah, we know all about you. If you want to come here, we'll do the same deal. Free food, 10% off at the bar. And that was it. So we moved there, and again, it just kept growing. And did a couple of charity days. But the problem we had was that there hadn't been a lot of investment in the venue. So when it rained, the roof leaked, which isn't the best if you're on stage with the electrics. In the winter, absolutely freezing. In the summer, with the glass roof, there was a sauna. And folk were complaining. I thought, what do I do here? So I spoke to Kelvin at Ivory Blacks. And again, Kelvin said, know all about you. We're delighted to host. And he said, right, you tell me what drinks your folk drink, and I'll order them in. Whatever you want, I'll do. And that was it, great. And it's worked out very well with Kelvin. And sadly now, with the lockdown, so we're a bit scuppered. I'm worried about all these venues because I really don't know whether they'll still be there, whether they can sustain it long enough to when they open up again, which I think would probably be towards the end of the year. I don't know whether people can keep going.
We've talked about that at quite a bit of length, actually, between the guys, David and there's a couple of things here, because it's a subject really close to my heart. Like you and like all of us have played most of, if not all of, between us, the venues around Glasgow, some of those which aren't there anymore, and some which have gratefully come back, like McSorley's. And actually, the question of do you miss playing? I hear said an awful lot on social media or phone calls, and actually, it's a bit of a double-edged sword for me at the moment. Yes and no. I'm loving doing this, and I love playing live music, and I miss playing with all my mates and the guys and jamming. But there are some venues that we've got to be honest that actually, when you think about it, aren't set up well for live bands. Either the punters, nor the equipment, nor the stage. And you're limited by noise. The get in and get out is double yellow lines and handrails and all sorts. And actually, it's going to be really interesting for me. Let's hope the good venues survive. That's all I really hope.
Yeah. Well, I've spoken to quite a few of them, and they're all furloughed, the people, of course, and they've applied for the job retention scheme and applied for the grants, and it's the grant bit that's just not happening. So I spoke to a contact out in Glasgow City Council to find out, what's the problem, because there's 5,500 pubs, restaurants in Glasgow alone, and so there's a lot of work for any council to do, and it appears there's a hiccup. If someone pays their rent rates together, then they don't show up in the rates register. So it looks, to all intents and purposes, that they don't actually pay rates. So that creates a problem. And the issue there then is that the council can no longer take that decision, even though if they know it's the right decision, they've got to refer it back centrally to the government for them to take that decision, which will only prolong things. And that's worry. But hopefully they'll get it sorted. The sooner the better.
Yeah, I was just going to bring Graham Thompson in here on this. We have approached some owners of establishments and venues that we play in to see if they'd want to come on and talk about it. And actually, like Graham responded, that actually there's some emotional responses to that, Graham, wasn't there?
Well, I think there was. I think it is a very difficult time for all these establishments. And obviously, it's not a good idea for them to open if it's not financially viable. And of course, it won't be unless they have enough turnover, and they can't have the turnover without the numbers. So it is a big problem. And I'm sure that they're all thinking very hard with regards to ways and means of getting round the difficulties. But a point I was just going to make, David, in relation to CTF and like what we're doing just now, just an extent in chatting with each other, is that through Facebook, people from all over the world have joined CTF and communicate with each other on Facebook. Martin Griffiths of Beggars Opera and various other people. And the other thing is I found that I've been chatting to certain people about the gear that we all used when we were in our teens, all sorts of stories. And it really has been fantastic to have that experience on Facebook, and it's opened up sort of friends for me, and I've met people in a sense that I didn't know before. So although the social side of going to a pub and standing beside somebody and having a good laugh and having that live music and being together, although we've lost that, there still is this communication link. And of course, what Richie has organised and we've sort of bought into, which we think is terrific, podcasts, there is a great opportunity too for people, as we are doing just now, to have a chat. So although we're not sitting in a pub together, we could quite easily pour a whiskey if we wanted to, and we can chew the fat right here and now. Obviously, there's differences in ages and things here, but that makes it very interesting.
Yes, yeah. As far as podcasts are concerned, CTF, as you know, I've record every single session. So every session, right through for the last few years, right since the Scotia days, I'll tell you a lie, since the Clutha days, I've all been recording podcasts. And that's done by Dave Jordan and Max Duff. We've got a stage management team of 4 people who run the different elements of making sure that stage is right, the gear's in order, you don't need new clips, all these things. And I've got 2 groups within CTF, the CTF management group, who look at the finance and development of the group. Jim Keel sits in that, myself, our accountant Ronnie Horn, and there's 5 of us there. And we've got an entertainments committee who look at what special events we're going to be doing. Because as it moves forward, I want to start to look at specialist events. And we're very trying to do a few charity things, which have been very successful.
Yes.
And the charities, of course, are delighted. Excuse me. And of course, they've been squeezed for cash. So they've anything they can get, they're over the moon. And once again, to create an inclusion within CTF, that culture of respect, encouragement, support, we ask people to nominate charities. So we have 3 bands playing on a charity day, and the band nominate the charity of their choice. And that's what we do. We support these charities on that day. So it's not my decision, it's everyone's decision.
But all these photographs on Facebook show all these guys like David when they were youngsters. And it's quite easy looking at the different stages because you've got all these guys with their, afros. Some have got John Travolta suits on. Some have the sort of, some of the old ready sort of rock sort of God look.
Yes. Yeah, I did enjoy looking through some of those pictures. The white dungarees, the white shiny dungarees. That was classic. Brilliant.
Yes, that was Daisy. There's a photograph of me with white trousers and playing drums. And Ricky McKenna from the Dangerous Brothers asked me if he could borrow my white trousers. So every time there's someone on with white trousers, I'll say, speak to Ricky McKenna, he's looking for a pair of white trousers. Hello, good. And it's very strange.
One of the things that we're hoping, and obviously the Charity Taylor Foundation is a huge inspiration to a lot of what we're trying to do here as well, and connect people and bring different musician styles and genres together. And I think one of the things that I'm really passionate about, and I know some of the other guys are, and you will be, is trying to develop grassroots and younger talent to come through as well. Because some of the early years in my musical career, when I used to go up and stand in the State Bar and watch Jim and the guys, and some of the events we've been to where you've been playing, or some of the guys have been playing. That's what got me going. That's what made me want to do it, and desperately keen that we introduce different age groups and different music styles to try and hopefully, when we all come out of this, if we can help connect this spider web a little bit, we do a bit more of that network, and there'll be a bit more good come out.
No, I think you're right. We could do so much together, everyone, than any one person could ever achieve in their lives then. And within our network, there's lots of people giving me lots of ideas. Like the t-shirts, like CTF crystal glasses, like a CTF ashtray, CTF keyring, and we're constantly looking at things. We're looking at doing a CTF calendar for charity, and I'm constantly looking at different ideas. It's all for charity. And the charity could well include one of our members who's perhaps down in the luck and would need a wee bit of help and support. And CTF is all about respect, encouragement, support.
You go on from there to the Scottish Band's Gig Guide, because what's your idea, David? Well, I couldn't believe when that started. I wondered how quickly it would take off, and in no time, all the bands were advertising their gigs on it. Likewise, there's collaborative bands site whereby any pub or function house was looking for a band, or there'd been a cancellation, they could use that. And at a later date, I remember speaking to different publicans who were looking for bands and things, and they would say, right, I'll need to go on that site. So these sites were very, very quickly taken up, David. Is that what you
mean? Yeah. I think there was a need for them, Graham. And I could see that need for those sites. The Scottish Band's Gig Guide site, I thought, this is going to get our people known out there to the wider audience. And then the collaborative site, I thought, right, what if we got together with the venues and the bands, and they could talk to each other, and the venues could look and see the video of the bands and say, I like them, or they'd work with my audience, or they'd put bums and chairs and money in my till. And that was the whole idea behind that, to have this collaborative approach. Because I think as time goes on, we're going to have to, musicians will have to be much more collaborative in their approach with venues and work in partnership to achieve a common goal.
The Glasgow Gig Guide was what you always looked at to find out what was on, but a lot of establishments didn't actually use it. And so what happened is people, I'm going out on Saturday night for a few beers, I'd love to see some live music, onto Facebook, onto the Scottish Band's Gig Guide, and there they could find out a lot of information.
And of course, from that, when the lockdown came, we thought, how do we keep people building on that site? And we decided to say to people, post your videos and just test the water. And the response was incredible. It was just overrun almost overnight. All these new members, videos. So I set up the Scottish Band's video collections page, and it's going full built. I think it's 674 then already after a few weeks. So it's and I expect that to grow quite quickly.
An inspirational figure, I think, and it strikes me as I'm watching the screen here. So we have an actual 4-piece on at the moment. So clearly the giveaway.
That's very true. Yeah.
From Graham Thompson and I on the guitar, and you're clearly in drums. Graham Carswell is a very distinguished bass player as well, and it's interesting that probably one of the reasons that one of the byproducts of this is when musicians were looking to form bands as well, or looking to try and find somebody that they could bring into a band or a lineup, and I think that's been one of the fantastic byproducts of this as well. Not just the gig guide, it's actually connecting musicians together.
Yeah, yes, and people that I've met through CTF have stood in and decked, or played with them, or have helped out finding guys to fill places in bands. So again, just that communication and that sort of sharing of a sort of common interest has been brilliant.
Yeah, it's worked out very well, and people know what they're buying. And the thing is, they've all become friendly. We all know each other so well now. It's taken 40 years that everyone, it's so kind of get messages. I'm inundated with stuff saying, oh, I wish we'd all meet up, even for a cup of coffee. That people are actually missing each other's company, which is wonderful. Charlie would have loved this. And his widow saying, yeah, this has just made his day. He put him down, he used to come in here and sit at a keyboard, a bottle of vodka, these cigars, and that's him. And he'd play away, and everybody sing along and whatnot. And he would have absolutely loved CTF.
David, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How long do you spend on Facebook every day? If I could just explain to the guys, anybody who's a member of CTF, over 1,000 members, if they have a birthday, David posts it on the site and everybody says happy birthday to them. So how many hours a day do you have?
Not long, because I know if I go on, I know we're on 4. And so I'm going to do it, that's it. But if there's any threads or any messages, I'll respond to them as soon as possible. Yep. I message immediately if I can. And of late, with the 5 pages, I mean, the number of threads since lockdown has just been unbelievable. I mean, it's just frightening. And so that's difficult. So just now I'm probably spending about 3-4 hours a day because of the number of threads, because I don't want not to respond to anyone. You know, because folk will ask you all sorts of questions and of various things, or some that appear from the past, and you get chatting to them. And I find I'd rather just talk to somebody on the phone. But the other week I was talking to Hamish Stewart, and we were talking about school days, and a guy called Brian Bedford. And Brian became an actor, and I think it was 8.5 old mum and Ramsey Nesbitt. He was Andrew, and he was a pal. He was Hamish's pal at school because they sat his own alphabetical order. So I, as myself, Derek Murison, Brian Pettifer, Hamish Stewart, and we're talking about that. And a Latin teacher had a speech impediment. So he was at our age, 70, put at school by impersonations of a registered teacher with the speech impediment. This is nuts. Hey, well, it gives you a good laugh.
Richie, Graham, I have to tell you, one of the most sort of energetic versions of Sweet Home Chicago or singing of it I've ever heard in my life is this man here.
Thank you.
I've heard him sing a few times. It's a song that's well known to all of us. And you really seem to enjoy it when you're up there singing, David. And so you've been a singer, a drummer, a DJ, a radio presenter.
Comedian.
Of all these things, is the one that you prefer the most?
No, I enjoy them all. Also, the role that I didn't enjoy was a comedian for 6 months. I stopped playing drums in the mid-70s, 74. I decided to bring in a drummer and I'll go out front and work the audience. And the honest truth is, suddenly I didn't have the protection of this big drum kit between me and the audience. And I was petrified. Yeah. And so I fell into becoming a comedian. I talked to them, tell them stories because of a lack of confidence. And that was when I was about 6 months. And one night I was doing a double with Hector Nickel. And I set the gig up, looked for Vic Johnson. And I set it up, the pace of retainer, the band came in, and Hector came in, we sold tickets and sold out, of course. And so we're playing away, and I said, Chris, you're doing well, boy. And he said, I had 2 albums there at that time and some merchandise and stuff. And he said, great, yeah. He said, the only thing is, once you sell the album, you can no longer use those jokes because that's them going. He said, and worse, you get some people stealing your jokes. He said, even worse than that, some people steal your whole program. Going, oh dear. So that was the end of the comedian bit. And I just did the vocals, which I enjoyed. Well, I just enjoyed everything with music.
There must have been a few drummer jokes in your repertoire then, David.
The problem was that at that time, Benji friends were all about Ram Jam. So it's, again, stolen from Gino Washington, and who I greatly admire. And so the music went non-stop for the first an hour and a quarter. So for the drummer's got a real stamina to keep that up. That was the hard bit. You're wearing people out.
That's actually interesting what you say about drummers, because a good friend of mine who I played with recently in a band, Robert Purse, he's also in the Philharmonic Orchestra. He used to comment on that after playing live sets. You know, you have to have the stamina of an athlete to play, you know, the kind of drum. I mean, he was obviously mimicking Moon, and you know, he was playing with the energy of Keith Moon and replicating his drum lines and his drum fills, etc. And you know, the sweat that used to come off, you know, Robert, I totally admire any drummer who you know plays a long show like that and just keeps it going.
I do recall a situation number of years back now in a previous band that I played in called Two's Up, and we worked together about 16 years in sort of different roles, and we started as an acoustic duo that morphed into a classic rock band, morphed into a function band. But one particular night we were playing a wedding, and it was a really hot summer's night in a marquee in Scotland, ironically. And one of those things where as a front man and singer and guitarist, you can read if they want more, and there's another one. And you're trying to build the tempo to a crescendo at the end of the gig. So we're a few songs towards the end and get towards the second last song, and I'm looking around, and Sandy on the drums is looking a bit white and a bit off colour. And sure enough, they want one more, so I jump into it. I can see he's struggling with it. But ultimate professional as a drummer, finished the last beat and then literally passed out, fell forward and collapsed the drums everywhere. And he was dehydrated. He was literally overheated and dehydrated. And I thought, I've killed the drummer. But actually, he just needed a bit of fresh air, a bit of water, and he was back, a bit of sugary sweets, and he was back on it. But I admire what you guys do incredibly.
Great fun. And it really, I think, when I seen Jimmy Watson the first time, most of the night was spent trying to hold his call speakers upright on the stage of the Olympia. And I thought, this guy's just amazing. And it was the bounce of the bass guitar and the drums. That rhythm section was so, just the attack it had and the influence it had in the audience. I went, I'm going to do that. And that's what made me go there, in that route. Again, my bass player was a former drummer, which is even better because he knew exactly the drums. He knew what the drums would do. So he just sat down and talked about note for note on the guitar.
I think there's a real affinity between the backline, Graham, isn't there? Because we've got, I'm a rhythm guitarist at heart, so Malcolm Young was one of my idols, and actually the first really long-standing bass player that I ever played with was Doc Hugh.
Right.
And actually, from an early age playing blues, and you lock in. So my rhythm guitar style probably started out with Hugh's influence on bass. So it became an addictive passage to try and lock in with each other. And the drums, and Graham and I, Caswell, I talk about quite a lot, is you can always tell the great bass players because they watch the drummer like a hawk. And that's something that Graham's quite passionate about, isn't it?
Oh yeah. When I first started playing bass, and the kind of rehearsal rooms I was rehearsing in, and venues that I was playing, I had no option but to stand right next to the drummer, you know, and I was just locked into the drummer's bass pedal, you know, watching his foot all the time, and you know, the kind of music, the kind of bands that I was listening to back then as well, like Zeppelin, you know, and listening to Bonham and John Paul, you know, just doing the whole that whole rhythm section, that whole feel, it just gets you, and I just love it.
Brilliant. My two brothers played in the same band, and my younger brother, the youngest one, he was on a holiday or something, and I had to stand in playing bass. And the drummer's a guy called Stuart Gow, who'd been a friend of mine throughout the bands, and I admire Stuart, and I just loved playing bass with a drummer. And he and I would just have fun on the stage, and the band's like, let's go in there. And it was just great fun.
There's nothing like it when a bassist locks in with a drummer and you just have that
Love it.
kinetic, that it's just forward motion, and it's just
Yeah.
it's that rhythm. It's great.
Yes.
It is. I mean, for me, that is, if you get that part right, for the rest of the band, it's easy.
Yeah.
Bass and drums are good, then any guitarist really can get up there and you can play. It's all there for you. But if the bass and drums aren't working, then it's never going to be good. It doesn't matter how good your guitarist feels, everybody else is.
Uh-huh.
David, one of the things you've been around the music scene for a few decades now. Do you see much has changed from what you remember when you started out to what it looks like today?
Oh, very much. When I started out, really playing the circuit, if you like, the first band I worked with played keyboards with a band called Soul Society, and we were sponsored at 65, and we were sponsored by the Milk Marketing Award. So we did all these women, all Beatty, Horse Show, and all that big thing. But there was tons and tons of work. And Tommy Gordon had asked me to join high school for a while. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "About 4 nights, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon." Oh, right. And that was the way it was then. And then the Dream Police, for instance, and Brad Monroe's House of Lords, they'd leave here on a Friday, play the Marquee on a Saturday or a Sunday, and come back. I mean, there was gigs everywhere. And some wonderful venues. Some rough venues too, but there's plenty of work. And although the only thing you had to worry about then was people ripping you off, which they still do today. And that's the big problem. But now there's not venues, and they want to pay coppers. And sadly, there's a lot of 5 and 6 piece bands that play for 100 quid because they just love playing.
Yeah.
So the whole thing's changed. I think it'll change radically in the future because there needs to be more of a split. And if a band, I mean, if you think about the bands that sell tickets, and if you could set something up, a network of sport where you could sell tickets, then the bands would do very well. Right, so it'll be quality rather than quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a huge change. Huge change. Even Glasgow, when I think of the clubs and dance halls and the Plaza Ballroom, Manny Ferry's big band, you get 3 vocalists, and the place is mobbed. And you start off at the start of the night, and you say, "Right, I want to." Manny say to you, "I want a quick step," and I go, "Right, G," and that's all he did. G, and in would come the orchestra. Was it the way you went? And I had a tango, right? And he said, "Right, A, give me that," and that off it go. They had no idea what the song was, but away they went, and they followed you.
That's incredible. Sorry, David, sorry to interrupt, because I remember playing in a band, Deja Vu, and we were playing the Liberty in Paisley, and they had comedians on various things, and we would be asked to back them. And this comedian came in, he walked up to the stage, and I'm listening, and hoping it was going to be a 3 or 4 chord number. And he leant over and said, "Right, guys, I'm going to sing a number tonight. Can you back us?" I said, "Yeah, no problem. What is it?" "Smoke Gets in Your Eyes." Now, by sheer good fortune, one of the guys in the band, Alan McDougall, can play by ear. He can play anything. Very, very gifted. And he was, because there's a lot of very sophisticated chords. And he managed to bumble his way through it. And I just turned the volume right down. But when you tell somebody you're going to try and back them, ask them what they want, and they say, "Smoke Gets in Your Eyes." It's like, oh no.
In all my years of playing, I've never once played that song.
Well, you actually could do it, Graham, but it's a challenge.
Thinking about the way that the situation is at the moment, and knowing that at some stage we will get out of this and get back to it, and hopefully there'll be some venues around at the end of this. Now, that looks to me, from what we're hearing, that it could be the end of the year, if not the start of next, potentially.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is horrendous to think about. However, where do you stand on? I need to get your thoughts on house PAs versus band bringing their own equipment. I think it's interesting when I look back 30 years ago, like you said, there's venues paying 150 quid for a 4 or 5 piece. That's what they paid back then. Equipment nowadays costs thousands and thousands of pounds, and the time it takes for bands to set up and get in and out. And And I'm wondering if a way that a bar or a pub or a venue can start to make best use of its funds is to do a bit of investment up front and actually help the turnaround time. It can pay the band a little bit less, but a reasonable value per head per musician. And even get maybe a couple of bands on a night, just help the turnover and the variety. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, to answer the PA question, a lot of the PAs have been done, a lot of them are done. I think that's really, and they're set wrongly. And there are so-called many folk who call themselves sound engineers. Scooby, I'm not a clue. And they said that your DJ would have done his decks in the 70s with so much bass. The sound mics sound like that. And you think, give some presence, gives me a bit of talk, you know, it's not there. Whereas Ivory Blacks, for instance, which is a real music venue, and their sound man, Cammy Forbes, who's also a guitarist, singer.
Yes, I know.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And I'm sure Cammy makes us all sound much better than we really are. And we all think that too. He's just great. So, and other people who do the festivals have mixed sound for us. And it's been mediocre at best, honestly. And I thought, well, your meters are all there. What's the problem? You can see it, you know. I just don't think they fully understand how it should sound. Don't know. And two of our guys helped with the sound of Apollo. And they're desperate to get up sometimes and do the sound.
Yeah.
Because they're not allowed.
Can make or break a gig. Yeah.
Interesting thing. The second thing I wanted to ask you about was your views on the sound limiting equipment that's been put into small venues in a residential area where, like you rightly say, if it's a busy night, the audience can peak it off at 98 decibels or whatever it is without you even striking a note. Yeah. And then the minute you start playing and it cuts out, the band gets the daggers straight away as if you've ruined the evening. So I kind of feel that some of these venues, if they seriously want to continue paying for live music, make a bit of investment with some soundproofing or some sound deadening as well.
Yeah. It doesn't cost much to do proper soundproofing. It really doesn't. But people won't invest because the market's just not there right now. And I feel so sorry for the venues who are compelled to install this stuff, because at the end of the day, someone's leasing that venue as a music venue.
Yeah.
So the council's doing it. Why? And if it's a music venue, why put a call centre upstairs? The two don't, it's just a complete mismatch. So that's a bit I don't get. And people are investing money in these businesses only with the risk of being made to close down because of a sound limiter. It's nuts. Crazy.
Well, let's see. But moving on to common acquaintances. So Graham Carswell and you, I believe, are both very familiar with Ian Forbes. Is that right, Graham?
Yeah.
Yep, indeed.
Yes, great guitar player.
Very nice. Absolutely. Yeah, very, very
Graham,
talented.
can you give David a bit of an idea about how you met Ian and your sort of knowledge of him?
If Ian listens to this, my recollection of the story might vary from Ian's, but I think I've got it pretty much right. No, I met Ian through a mutual acquaintance, a drummer, Richard McDonald, back in the days.
Yes.
And I actually lived in Newton Mearns as well, and I know Ian and Rick used to live in the Mearns, and I had not long taken up the bass and was getting into that, and Rick invited me along to meet this stunning guitar player who at 16 years old could play Van Halen Eruption note for note, all the finger tapping and stuff. And sure enough, I didn't believe him, but sure enough, I saw him and I was blown away. So Rick, myself, and Ian formed a band, and we did Rush stuff and Led Zeppelin and Steely Dan as well. So yeah, I've known Ian since he was 16. So that's a years ago.
Yeah, that's right. Because I thought I might have seen you at Davy Johnson was running he runs a Sunday jam at the King's Arms Hotel in Fenwick.
Yes.
And I thought you had been along. Quite a few faces there.
Oh, he's a great guitar player. He's just got better and better, I think, as the years have gone on, and he's always been so keen to play live music. I see him posting gigs all the time.
Yes.
He's very, very active. So hats off to him for that, for getting out there and doing it,
And Rick And he was involved with King's Arms in Fenwick at one time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He invited me down one night, and I went down, and I didn't expect to play, actually. I was just expecting to go in and see Ian and Rick again, because it had been a number of years since I'd seen them, you know, and I knew that they'd had a number of other like mutual friends going in to do a kind of a amalgamated gig, you know, people coming on, people going off, etc., etc. And it was just going to be a long gig with various musicians coming on. And next thing I know, I was invited up, you know, given a bass, and then you stand in the corner and right, we're going to play. What do you know? What do you know? And it was one of those things, you know, and we just blasted Tie Your Mother Down or something like that. It was great, you know. Those kind. I love those kind of events. You know, you're not expected to get up and play, and you don't know what you're going to play, and it's like, right, 2, 3, 4. Oh God, right.
There was actually a recording put on Facebook, and Rick McCallum was in drums, Ian was in guitar, and there was a chap, I think he's from up in Aberdeen, singing, and they did a Led Zeppelin number. I think it was Dazed and Confused, and it, without any question of a doubt, it was the best I have ever heard by any sort of, you know, semi-pro band, if you like. Really quite exceptional. And these guys had just rolled up and started playing. Wonderful stuff.
Good stuff. So normally at this time of the proceedings, we invite our illustrious quizmaster, Mr. Graham Thompson, to test our general musical knowledge.
It's the Vintage Vinyl Big Quiz.
So the very first question is, 4 weddings and a funeral made which song a number 1?
Love Is All Around. No.
Well done, Graham Castle.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Hey, off the starting block.
Right, here's another one. Who took Lily the Pink to number 1?
Scaffold.
Well done, David. Right, oh, Richie, you'll need to get up here.
Bringing up the rear.
Which writer and guitarist sang Annie's song?
Oh, Pete. Oh, good. Oh, dear. I spent a night with him. Oh, John Denver.
Correct.
Spent a night with him.
Yeah, yes.
Elaborate.
With a guy called Duncan Bruce from the Royal Teens in Aberdeen. And we met in the Regent Hotel in Oban. And as I walked in, I could see him in the bar. I was a wee bit late. I said, look, get yourself a drink, charge it to my room, and I'll be down in 5 minutes. So I arrived in, and I said, hi, get on, shook hands with them both. And Duncan said to me, do you two know each other? I said, I know your face. I can't quite remember your name. He said, John Denver. So for some reason, there was a Guinness competition going on. And we decided you got to get every pint of Guinness you got, you get a token. So when you drunk 10 tokens, you get a free pint of Guinness. So now for a Chinese meal, and then I got to write this Guinness. And next morning I wakened up and I had no tokens. So I didn't feel rough, but the eyes were like pure. Yeah, that was a night with John Denver. Super, lovely guy.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, a little bit more modern. Who had a number 1 hit with Ice Ice Baby?
Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, so at the moment, David, it's 2 to you, 1 to Graham, and 1 to Richie. So things are hotting up. Who joined George Michael on Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me?
John.
Yeah.
Richie was just in there first, so it's now 2 to David, 2 to Richie, and 1 to Graham. Okay, guys. Now, Graham, I know you're into a bit of the heavy metal and things like that too. So we're going to something a bit heavier now. But you will need to be quick. So, Ian Gillan and David Coverdale sang for which group?
Rainbow.
Nope.
Oh, Deep Purple.
Yes.
I wanted to answer, but I wanted to let you get 2 points.
Mental block.
Well, gentlemen, we should stop there. It's 2 each. Well done.
Well done. An honourable draw, I think.
Or sparing my blushes, Graham. You're too kind.
One thing, David, I think you must, just while we wrap up, and it's been great to have you, but you must have seen some funny sights and funny things happen over the year, whether it be on stage in front of you? Is there anything that stands out that really made you laugh like a drain?
Yeah, a lot we couldn't mention, could never repeat.
That was very diplomatic. We could have changed the names to protect the identity, but I think good to finish on a story of a venue which close to my heart. I know close to Graham Thompson's and yourself, and Graham Carr's I'm sure would have been in many times. The Clutha, wonderful venue, and didn't matter what night of the week it was. It didn't stop the amount of alcohol flow and the amount of funny things that we've seen happen in that venue. From not particularly funny, but it summed up Glasgow to me. I was late teens when I started playing in the end. My first real introduction to bar brawl, and especially two women bar brawling, and I know it's not funny, but it was funny looking back on it, because the band played on as if nothing was happening. These two are scrapping it literally right in front of us, and they tried to break them up, but I've watched women fight on a couple of occasions with the Clutha, and once their hands get their hair, there's nothing they can do to separate their hands. So I think the Clutha developed this really good system where all they would do was pick up both women and put them outside and let them finish it.
Yes.
That was my overriding memory of the Clutha. But yeah, listen, David, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I know that Graham will have loved to catch up with you, and certainly Graham Carswell and I have really enjoyed it.
It's lovely to meet you, David, and
you, Graham.
Really nice to get to know you.
Okay. Cheers. Cheers, guys.